Hi, Michael. Let's see what you did in this latest set of essays. This is about fathers staying home, mothers working. Let's see what you wrote. The switch in how men fulfill their roles as fathers has grown in importance over the last decade. Nowadays, a rising number of men choose to withdraw from the job market. You need a the here in order to spend quality time with their children, while their female counterparts not come back to work, but I think go back to work would have been better. This essay will delve on the main reasons for that trend and provide arguments why it is definitely a positive outcome, which is the author's viewpoint. Okay, I like this. I would have left this out. Okay, I would have left, yeah, this whole thing out. Don't think you need it. I think from the moment you tell us that why it's a positive outcome, we know it's your opinion. I don't think you really need to state it like this. Felt a little redundant, but the rest of it was good. To begin, the main motive for the fathers to remain at home may be their wish to form more meaningful. You're missing another article. Their wish to form a more meaningful relationship with their offspring. You can see it's underlined. It's because it's singular. It's not plural. This is largely because of the increasing societal awareness of the role that fathers have in children's mental development and how rewarding it may be for the males to be more present in their children's life. Now here you needed an N apostrophe S. The attachment theory presented by a leading researcher from Oxford University, the comma goes right after the Y and then space. John Bowlby explains how transformative for both the parent and the child. Okay, word order. Explains how transformative for both the parent and the child parental presence is. Okay, so it explains how adjective something is. Okay, so word order here. Now that's fine, but you didn't talk about mothers at all. Why are mothers going to work? All right, so what's happening here? All you really focused on was fathers, but there's nothing about the mothers at all. And I think you needed to address that, even if just a little bit, it needed to be in here. Okay, let's keep going now. Because look what the essay says. While mothers go to work, what could be the reasons for this? Okay, so you can't just talk about one without talking about the other. This trend has a clear positive outcome, nourishing the small ones. This is awkward, the small ones. We don't say that, we say little ones. But even in this kind of essay, I don't think that would have been the best way to express this. You could have just said nourishing one's children. And I don't even know if I like nourishing. Nourishing has to do with like feeding. So unless you say like emotional, I don't know. It just felt like the wrong word to me. So why don't we try something else here? This trend has a clear positive outcome. Nurturing one's children helps men to develop soft skills and to forge deeper bonds with family members. What soft skills? Can you tell me? Can you give me some examples of the types of soft skills? Additionally, by doing so, they get more engaged in family life. Remember, when you're using punctuation, the semicolon goes directly after the word, not space and then the punctuation and then space. Their presence has a crucial role in forming more balanced personalities of those they are taking care of. A recent survey by Google showed a steady rise in inquiries regarding courses on parenting design for men. Experts in the field claim that this trend clearly demonstrates the shift in the prevailing masculine role in society, where modern men how can you do this? Where modern men highly prioritize soft competences over strength and effectiveness. So this is great. I like the language. I like what you're writing. There's nothing about women. Why are women going to work? Why are men choosing this role and women are saying, no thanks, I'm out of here. So you needed to address this as well. It can't just be focused on the men. Okay, and that's what's happening here. To conclude, the main reason why nowadays men decide to stay with their children is primarily relational. The emergence of a new role of masculinity seems to be a crucial aspect of the tendency. My firm viewpoint is that this trend has a major positive outcome. All right, I really like this, but the fact that you're missing anything about women for me is problematic. You're not talking about all parts of the essay. Look at the band descriptors. What it says for band 7. Look what it says for band 6 and even band 5 in task achievement. And band 7, you says cover all parts of the task clearly. Band 6 says covers all parts of the task, but some may be covered more fully than others. That's not even what's happening here. You haven't even talked about women at all. There's like nothing about why women are going to work, except for, here it is, their female counterparts go back to work. It's the only time you talked about it. But if you look at the question, it clearly talks about both of them. I would say to an equal degree. So omitting any sort of discussion about women, I feel is very problematic and may cost you a decent band score here. Okay. So I want you to think about that. Other than that, I thought the writing was really quite good. Okay, let's see. These are your notes. Now let's talk about this rainfall line graph. The given, all right, you don't call it a graph or chart. It's a line graph, okay? We call them line graphs. And then the other types of diagrams you could have are bar charts, pie charts, but it's not called a graph chart. It's called a line graph. So, or you could have just said the given graph. So the given graph depicts how much rain fell in the 3 different nations forming the UK, namely England, Scotland, and Wales throughout the year 2018. The figures are presented in milliliters. Fine. The key observation is that all 3 countries noticed their highest, though at different levels, rainfall in July, and that the figures hugely fluctuated between January and December, not showing a clear trend. Okay. That's not entirely true. What did you say? You said they noticed their highest rainfall in July. That's not true, because look what happened in Scotland. Scotland's rainfall in July is like 110. Look what happened here in March. Look what happened here in October. So in your overview, you've already got some inaccuracy. Okay? What you could have just said is that it's the only place where all 3 of them showed similar trends. Okay? But you can't say that it's where all 3 of them had their highest. That's totally inaccurate. So let me tell you what other kinds of information you could have included in this overview. One thing I want you to notice is England's rainfall. What's the lowest point? It's right here. What's the lowest point for the other 2? Much, much lower. Okay. And if you look like from here down, they have a lot lower rainfall in general than England does. England never falls that low. So one thing you could have said and would have made a really good overview is that all 3 countries fluctuated considerably throughout the year, but on average, England had higher rainfall. And why can you say that? Because England never had any of these lows. So on average, its rain never went below this like 75 mark. Okay? Yeah. So that's what would have been for me a really good overview. Let's keep going. It is noteworthy that the figures depicting rainfall in England witnessed in given period a little variation from its highest of 50 ml from its highest to lowest point, while the figures in Scotland and in Wales had higher frequency that of, I don't understand the sentence at all. I'm really sorry. The figures depicting rainfall witnessed in the given period, you mean? And then here's something else grammatically. You've got your verb here. This is your object, a little variation. You never separate your verb from your object. They have to go right next to each other. So for this to make sense, it has to say, it is noteworthy that the figures depicting rainfall in England witnessed little variation of 50 ml from its highest to lowest point in the given period, while the figures in Scotland and Wales had, I don't understand this, higher frequency that of 120. Here's where you lost me. What does that mean? Higher frequency that of 120. So this made no sense to me. All right, let's keep going. All 3 countries noticed the highest rainfall, not raindrop. Raindrop is 1 drop of rain, okay? Notice the highest rainfall at 1:30, though at different moments in the year. Scotland in March and October, whereas England and Wales in July. July was the only month where rainfall exceeded 100 in all parts of the UK. All right. However, there was a huge distinction when the least amounts of rain dropped. Scotland reached its lowest value in February, while in Wales and England it happened in April and June, respectively. Wales and Scotland were the only 2 countries that had rainfall under 50 ml, and only in Wales such low figures were noticed in 3 subsequent months between August and November. Okay. I like what you've tried to do here. You've really tried to show the trends, and I think that's great. Although I found this really hard to follow. In other words, if I didn't have the graph in front of me, it would be really difficult for me to kind of visualize what it is you're talking about. I kind of felt like here I needed data. I didn't have any. And then I told you before that this paragraph really I found was really rather challenging. I mean, the second part made sense, but the first part really kind of troubled me. So, so I had some trouble with that. Let's see. And then don't forget that your overview had some error. So I find that a lot of people really struggle with this. Okay. And one of the reasons why they struggle with this task is because there's so much information. In fact, specifically, there's 36 pieces of data. Obviously, you're not going to talk about them all. You can't. It would be wrong to. There are certain key points that you should and you can talk about. So when I look at this to me tells me a story. It tells me the story of rain in 3 countries in 1 year. So anytime we tell a story or we hear a story, what parts of that do we want to know? Well, we want to know the beginning. We want to know, obviously, the end. And then we want to know some of those key points in the middle. So if I was going to talk about this, I would start with Scotland. Why? Because Scotland started the year at the highest point. And so I would say that the highest rainfall in January was seen in Scotland at 120 ml. However, in the following month, it reached its lowest point at 20. I don't know what number that is. It looks like 20. Okay. Only to go to its highest point in the year of 130 in March. In the next 6 months, it fluctuated considerably before reaching its second peak of 130 in October. After more fluctuation, it ended the year slightly lower than it began at just over 100 ml in December. That's how I would do Scotland. And then I would talk about England. I would say England had the second highest rainfall in January at 100 and whatever that is. Okay, it too experienced considerable fluctuation, reaching a low of 75 between May and June. In the second half of the year, it had some fluctuations with 3 highs in July, September, and December of around 135 ml. Done. And then you can do the same thing with Wales. But with Wales, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about point 1, point 2, point 3, and this is really interesting, point 4, because look at it. It's the only period where there's some stability in this entire line graph. And then again, you're going to talk about this, where again, it ends the year only slightly higher than it began. So that's how I would do it. And you can see that I pretty much talked about 15 different points, but I grouped together in an effective way. Okay, so that's how I want you to think about this. It's not the only way to do this, obviously, but I find that it's a very clear way of doing it. It's a way that highlights the important features. And I want you to think about that when you have these dynamic charts that give you like a year or 10 years or something. Think of it as a story. Where's the beginning? What's the important stuff in the middle? What's the end? Okay, where are my highs? Where are my lows? What am I talking about? Okay, but you have to express it in such a way that someone can understand what you're looking at without actually looking at the graph. Okay, so keep at it. You're doing great, and I can't wait to see another set from you. Okay, good luck.